Moonletter, Astrological Podcast.
Going Nova by Ben Belinsky. In his novel Nova Express, William Burroughs describes the basic nova mechanism as follows, and I'm not going to try to replicate his Midwestern drawl here. Always create as many insoluble conflicts as possible, and always aggravate existing conflicts. This is done by dumping life forms with incompatible conditions of existence on the same planet. There is, of course, nothing wrong about any given life form, since wrong only has reference in conflicts with other life forms. The point is, these forms should not be on the same planet. Their conditions of life are basically incompatible in present time form, and it is precisely the work of the Nova mob to see that they remain in present time form, to create and aggravate the conflicts that lead to the explosion of a planet that is, to nova. At any given time, recording devices fix the nature of absolute need and dictate the use of total weapons, like this. Take two opposed pressure groups. Record the most violent and threatening statements of Group 1 with regard to Group 2 and play back to Group 2. Record the answer and take it back to Group 1. Back and forth between opposed pressure groups. This process is known as feedback. You can see it operating in any bar-room quarrel, in any quarrel for that matter. Manipulated on a global scale feeds back nuclear war and nova. Burroughs' warning came out in 1964, although sections of it had been written back in 1938. He saw his job to expose the way images and words are used to manipulate populations, but back in the 1960s, the technology wasn't there yet. What Burroughs tried to do with typewriter, tape recorder, and camera can now be done by anyone with a smartphone. Images can be flashed back and forth between opposing groups, between pro-life and pro-choice, between blue and red, between left and right, between Israelis and Palestinians, and the owners of the social media, known to readers of Burroughs variously as Izzy the Push, Green Tony, Hamburger Mary, Sammy the Butcher, and Uranian Willie the Heavy Metal Kid, among others, known collectively as the Nova Mob, can now be identified with members of the government, their client media, and their financial backers who scream fake news any time anyone gets close to the doors of what Burroughs called the reality studio. Would he have enjoyed seeing his words bear fruit 60 years on, or would he have reached for another shot of his favourite anaesthetic? "Wise up the marks," was his rallying cry, letting those who have been duped know that they are being played. And social media are the perfect way to circulate the poison around the world, to get people out on the streets, and then get the images and the memes circulating, stirring up more aggravation. And there are experts who know how to do it, the trolls in their troll farms generating disinformation and downright lies, and now throw in generative AI so that we have access to machine-generated hate and violence. And Burroughs saw all this, or rather the basic principles, back in 1964. And now it's instant. You don't have to post your text or your images to the newspaper editor, or read your copy over the phone for some secretary to type. Now it's snap, upload, and the feedback and comments come flying back at you in minutes. And you can see the effect of your poison almost instantly. You can adjust the dose stir in the voice of authority the pathetic moans of victims clamouring for the moral high ground. If Burroughs were alive now, he'd watch the game of everyone claiming to be a victim, cut your rants with religious texts, or sprinkle with some philosophical quotes to give it some traditional authority, and add some street slang to make it sing. And watch as it starts to heat up and spin and rise, and you've got the 21st century equivalent of a planet going nova. Burroughs first published Nova Express in 1964. Depending how you count it, it was the third or fourth of his cut-up series after his breakthrough novel Naked Lunch, followed by The Soft Machine and The Ticket That Exploded. Burroughs realized the equivalence between junk, heroin and other opioids, and image, that both kill pain. He realized the complicity of the large international corporations in manipulating not just what people buy, but their very reality. Rather than writing tracts on political theory or social criticism in the manner of Antonio Gramsci, Guy Debord, or Herbert Marcuse, he wrote science fiction. Well, any good agent has to have a cover story. His books are designed as a detox from our addiction to images, recycling and mixing down images from the literature of all times, then showing us how by cutting the images together hidden messages are revealed, the secrets of boards and governments can be exposed, future patterns can be deduced.
And for more astrological and spiritual musings, check out moonletter.co.uk.